After getting drunk, I held my mortal enemy tightly in my arms. He took out a family ring and slipped it onto my index finger. Now you're mine. The whole scene went silent. Miss Chi grabbed my wandering hand. Wrong finger, bro. The guests instantly erupted because Chi Qingru and I were known as sworn enemies. I hate Chi Qingru, hate her to the bone. But no one knew I was reborn. In my past life, a fire disfigured my face and voice. Everyone despised me, disgusted by me. But she held me and kept saying, "Achin, don't be afraid. I'm here." That's when I realized the person I hated most was the one who loved me most in this world. At the moment of death, she held me tight. Her cold lips pressed to my ear, pleading softly, "Achin. Lot me, Oku?" I screamed that I loved her. But she could never hear my words again. The day I was reborn was on the red carpet of the awards ceremony. A woman of peerless beauty, leaning luxuriously against the car, looking ahead. The whole world faded away, leaving only her. I threw caution to the wind, rushed across the red carpet toward her, to say the words she never heard. I lop you, again to her. I lop you. The whole scene was in SOC, including the audience watching the Lai Shi trim, because everyone recognized the woman I was holding. Chi Qingru was the eldest daughter of the Chi family in Kyoto, a woman so noble and unreachable that everyone knew she was dangerous, yet willingly fell for her. In that moment, the noisy scene fell silent. Only the flashbulbs kept flickering. Compared to the quiet scene, the comments were especially noisy. What is Shi Chen doing? How dare he mess with Miss Chi? Does he really want fame that badly? First, he hit 11 white before the Lai Shi trim. Then he forcefully kissed Miss Chi. Has he been corrupted by novels, thinking this will make him famous? This eldest Miss Chi is famously not into men. She doesn't even care about 11 white. Who does he think he is? Is he asking for death? I heard he and this eldest miss have had a bad relationship since childhood. This is going to be interesting. I don't care. He kissed my wife. Why doesn't he just die? Don't worry. Miss Chi won't let him off easy. Not just these viewers. Even my friend and agent, Song Yi, was shocked. He knows the relationship between Chi Qingru and me pretty well. We grew up together. But we weren't close childhood friends. On the contrary, our relationship was terrible, to the point where wherever Chi Qingru appeared, I needed air freshener to disinfect the area, because I've always liked Himomo since I was young. But Himomo hated the adored Chi Qingru, so I hated her by association. I've hated Chi Qingru since childhood. In that moment, Songyi thought the same as the netizens. Shi Chen has gone crazy. Not far away, Shi Bai was still holding his face. His pupils contracted, but a mocking smile appeared in his eyes. Shi Chen dares to provoke Chi Qingru now? Not afraid that crazy woman Chi Qingru will kill him? Chi Qingru's bodyguards looked at each other. Actually, when I rushed over, they wanted to stop me, but their third young lady stopped them with her eyes. The eldest son of the Shi family changed his strategy and used a new trick to frame their third young lady. Or did the eldest son of the Shi family have poison in his mouth, planning to kill their third young lady with a kiss? But everyone's SOC was nothing compared to Chi Qingru herself. When Achin rushed toward me, I thought he wanted to embarrass me. I really wanted to see what this disowned eldest son would do next. Before Chi Qingru could mock me, she saw me lower my eyes and press my thin lips precisely to hers. In that moment, Chi Qingru's mind buzzed. She stiffened. Is Achin trying to bite my neck? He bit my lips instead. Should I say something? To remind Achin he bit the wrong place. Hey, Qingru. I lop you. The voice was ethereal, as if it would scatter with a gentle breeze. Chi Qingru's heart tightened instantly. She pressed her fingers against my shoulder to push me away. Her action excited the Lai Shi trim audience. Look, she's about to slap him. Chi Qingru looked up at me. My face was full of complex emotions of having found something lost. Chi Qingru's mood was tense, just as everyone waited for a slap to land hard on my face. Chi Qingru gently touched my cheek. What's wrong, Achin? What happened? It's windy and rainy. I lop you. What's going on? This eldest miss, who's famously not into men, shouldn't she slap him now? And knock this man who's taking advantage of her away? Everyone looked at each other. Flashbulbs kept flashing. The Lai Shi trim comments flew by. The number of viewers kept skyrocketing until the Shi trim crashed. Fix the platform quickly. I can't sleep tonight. Without seeing her hit him, at that moment, in my eyes, the whole world left me. My world was only her. My voice was hoarse. I missed you. My hand was still holding hers. My waist kept tightening, as if afraid she would disappear. Qingru. I missed you so much. Chi Qingru thought. Achin called me Qingru. Could he have called the wrong name? Chi Qingru was silent for a moment, then suddenly looked around. Others who were secretly watching gossip quickly turned away. Some looked at the sky, some at the ground. Chi Qingru knew this wasn't the place to talk. She frowned and grabbed my arm, wanting me to let go of her waist, but her action made me panic. I quickly held her tighter. Don't go, don't leave me, Oku. I'll be good from now on. Really? Chi Qingru's delicate face was full of helplessness. I don't want to leave you. Let's get in the car.
I don't believe her. I suddenly held her.
I'm afraid if I let go, you'll disappear.
Everything feels too much like a dream.
A beautiful dream I dare not let go of. Hey, what then? When will you let me go? Kiss me once. Chingru, kiss me.
Let me know you're real, Oku.
I kissed her earlier but didn't feel it was real. Before she pushed me away, I really wanted to be close to her, to feel the warmth of her lips. Don't whisper in my ear, begging me to lop her, so coldly.
Wait. Chingru bit her red lips.
Achen's mouth usually only knows how to anger me. But today, I don't know what's gotten into him. Suddenly he's so good at coaxing me. Is he trying to seduce me? In front of the whole internet, leaving some history, so he can later mock me. With evidence of me being tempted by his looks. Chingru's red lips curled slightly. Too bad I, Chingru, have never been afraid of seduction since I was young. Thinking this, Chingru laughed. Her slender fingers touched my cheek. Then she looked up and hugged me. The lie she trim platform recovered the moment Chingru looked up. In the frame, at the end of the red carpet, stood a stunningly beautiful woman and a handsome man. This scene was as beautiful as a fairy tale. A prince and princess embracing. Impatient netizens hadn't even seen clearly before they started posting comments to claim relatives. Claiming relatives. Oh my god. They hit the trending list hard. Exploded in every way. Some thought I had leverage over the eldest Miss Chi and threatened her. Some thought I seduced her. And some thought I used witchcraft. To Cao Chingru's mind. In short, no one thought that Chingru genuinely wanted to kiss me. In the eyes of netizens, Chingru and I were parallel lines that should never intersect. One in heaven, one on earth. Someone made a bold claim. Just wait. Once the eldest miss comes to her senses, Sure Chen will definitely die a horrible death. If he doesn't die, I'll do a 360-degree handstand and eat shit. While the internet was in uproar, in the spacious back seat, I was sitting next to Chingru, staring at her eagerly. Chingru sat there lazily, her slender fingers holding her phone. Annoyed, she hung up. After who knows how many gossip calls, she simply turned it off, then turned to look at me. When she spoke, her tone was light but cold. Come on, did you lose your memory or have a memory mix-up? Or did you mistake me for someone else?
I didn't mistake you. I quickly shook my head, instinctively reaching out to hug her. Chingru's eyelashes fluttered.
Don't hug me. Sit still. I finally coaxed her into letting me go. And now you want to hug again?
There's no audience now.
Chingru's face showed a hint of displeasure. What's with this habit of wanting to hug me whenever you speak? Did he do this with Himomo too? I paused my reaching hand.
My fingers, which had almost touched her clothes, pulled back.
I looked at her eagerly.
Chingru looked at me. Pitiful lie, someone she had abandoned.
Something's wrong.
This is my mortal enemy. Something's definitely wrong.
Chingru bit her lip.
Suppressing the doubt in her eyes, she asked, you didn't mistake me?
Then do you know who I am? I said firmly. You're Chingru. Then added softly. My Chingru.
Chingru's heart instantly raced. She suddenly pressed the back of her hand to my forehead
and said thoughtfully, are you feverish and confused? Her small hand was a bit cold, reminding me of the coldness of her embrace at the end. I clenched my fist and said softly,
I don't have a fever. Chingru withdrew her hand,
crossed her arms, and looked at me proudly. Spill it. What new trick are you planning to torment me with? Chingru suddenly thought of something. If I remember correctly, tomorrow there's a banquet at the Sure family. I heard that crazy woman Himomo bought a ring. She'll probably propose to Shuribai.
The he and Sure families also intend to continue the marriage alliance. I was kicked out of the Sure family a month ago because Shuribai was kidnapped and almost killed. All evidence pointed to me. Sure's parents were deeply disappointed in me and publicly announced they were cutting ties with me. My engagement with Himomo was also called off. Chingru's smile faded. Her gaze at me grew more distant. Sure-chin, you're not trying to use me to mess with Himomo, are you? Before getting out of the car, I saw you hit 11 white. In that moment, I was a bit anxious. Achin has always had a bad temper, but he's never been so reckless in public. At the time, I thought Achin did it for Himomo and couldn't control himself. I quickly got out of the car to back him up, but instead, I gave him a chance to cause me trouble. Thinking of those two light kisses, Chingru's eyes grew even colder. Sure-chin, for Himomo. You're really going all out. Should I just throw this idiot out of the car? I asked in confusion, who is Himomo? I don't know her. Chingru was silent for 2 seconds, then reached out and tapped Wenjing, who was driving, on the shoulder.
Go to the 10th hospital. The psychiatric hospital. Wenjing was silent for a moment. Oku, third miss. Then without any hesitation, she turned the steering wheel,
Heading toward the 10th hospital. I frowned deeply.
Oh no. Chingru might actually think I'm crazy. I've now woken up from the days of rebirth and confirmed that I've really come back. But if I pretend to have amnesia,
it might make her trust me. That's not a bad idea.
After all, I don't care about those people. I only care about my Chingru. In this world, I only need to remember her. I only need to lop her. Chingru whispered softly in my ear. I'll give you one last chance. Tell me honestly what you're trying to do. Otherwise, once we enter the 10th hospital, you won't be able to come out.
The car's interior was dimly lit. I turned to look at her cold, beautiful features.
Before I was burned in my past life, I also thought her gaze was cold. Lie the icy water of an eternal,
frozen pool. Only later did I realize. Beneath the cold pool was boiling lava. Her lop was so intense it could almost make the ice water boil. I spoke calmly, softly. I don't want to do anything.
I just want to lop you.
Chi Qingruo's deliberately calm gaze shattered instantly.
Want to lop me? How do you want to lop me? She bit her red lip and sneered, Sure Chen. Do you think I'm stupid? Should I remind you? When we met in the club lobby this morning.
What did you say? I was full of questions.
There's a flashback? That's too far back.
Let me think. I tried hard to remember for a while. I did meet her in the club lobby this morning. She got out of the elevator as I got in.
We passed each other.
I said to Song Yi beside me, spray some air freshener.
The elevator stinks. And I didn't forget to provoke her.
What bad luck. Thinking of this, my eyes flickered. Chi Qingru let out a light laugh.
Seeing your guilty look. You must remember now.
The next second, my eyes were clear, as if I really didn't remember anything.
No, I really don't remember.
What did I say to you then?
Did I say?
You're really beautiful. I really lie you. I really lop you. Chi Qingru suddenly felt her hand itch. She reached out and pinched me hard.
Stop playing dumb with me. I'm not falling for that. Himomo used to fall for that.
I rubbed my ear
and asked lightly. Then what does Qingru fall for? Chi Qingru was furious.
I don't fall for anything. Before she finished speaking, I leaned slightly toward her lips. Chi Qingru suddenly came to her senses and pushed me away. Her face flushed, she said through gritted teeth.
I looked at her deeply.
A hint of playfulness flashed in my peach blossom eyes. If that doesn't work, I gently wrapped my arm around her waist and asked softly, with hopeful eyes.
Then can I let you kiss me back?
Wen Jing, who was driving, pricked up her ears.
Oh my god, of course.
Third miss, just kiss him. Your spring has finally come. Chi Qingruo's gaze uncontrollably fell on my lips.
She bit her red lip. Let me kiss you back.
The word det was already on the tip of her tongue. But when she finally spoke, it was 3 gritted words.
In your dreams.
The sparkle in my eyes instantly dimmed. I drooped my head to show my unhappiness. Chi Qingru suppressed her racing heart.
I can't be fooled by Achin. Does he think this will seduce me?
She moved back subtly. Stay away from me. Her voice carried a hint of jealousy she didn't notice herself.
Who taught you this?
Himomo? Sure Chen, I frowned. I told you, I don't know Himomo.
Why do you keep mentioning her? Who is she? Besides, everything I know, you taught me.
Himomo doesn't lie me anyway. Chi Qingruo's patience was wearing thin.
She said displeasedly, Sure Chen.
How long are you going to keep pretending? My mood dropped.
I'm telling the truth. I only lop you. I only want to lop you. Why won't you believe me? Why is Chi Qingru so hard to deal with right now?
I thought if I confessed to her,
she would accept it. Does she not lop me yet at this time?
Chi Qingruo's playful eyes stared at me for a few seconds.
You don't know Himomo?
I nodded.
Chi Qingru curled her lips and said resentfully, Only lop me? Only want to lop me? I nodded heavily again.
Chi Qingru thought of something
and let out a sly laugh. Fine. I can believe you. But you have to prove it to me. How do I prove it?
I blinked my peach blossom eyes and smiled.
Does Qingru think just being close isn't enough?
Do you want to spend more time alone with me? When Jing's hands on the steering wheel were still heading to the Sure family. This young master is quite something. My third miss is so innocent.
Can she handle this?
Sure enough, Chi Qingruo's face was redder than my earlobes. But she managed to keep her composure.
And called out through gritted teeth.
Sure Chen. I looked at her innocently. Chi Qingru suppressed the urge to throw me out and poked my forehead with her fingertip.
Get all those messy thoughts out of your head.
I reluctantly opened my mouth. Chi Qingru took a deep breath to calm herself, then instructed Wen Jing, back to Sure Chen. Sure Chuan Hoteo is under the Chi family. It's also the Hoteo hosting today's awards ceremony. After the awards, there will be a celebration banquet in the Hoteo. The reason Chi Qingru agreed to go to the awards ceremony today was because the Chi family was the host. Of course, the most important reason was that she knew I would be there. I originally went to make sure Achin wasn't bullied.
But good intentions are never rewarded.
This bastard doesn't deserve my kindness. Chi Qingru gritted her teeth as she looked at me. Wen Jing respectfully turned the car around.
I asked in confusion, go back for what?
Chi Qingru leaned back in her seat, resuming her lazy posture from when she first got in the car, but her tone carried a hint of sarcasm. Of course, to give you a chance to prove yourself
and show how sincere your so-called lop is.
I frowned slightly.
I still remember in my past life,
at the celebration banquet at Shuryu Hoteo,
I was set up and woke up next to Chi Qingru with a mess everywhere.
At that time, I was extremely devastated. My first reaction was to drive Chi Qingru away.
She was quite calm then,
and said she would marry me.
I coldly told her to leave. if I remember correctly.
The drugged drink was handed to me by Himomo. I looked at Chi Chingru in the dim light. She closed her eyes, pretending to sleep. Her delicate face was incredibly charming. Influenced by Himomo before, I always thought Chi Chingru was pretentious and hard to approach. Only later did I understand.
I didn't really not want to get close to her.
I was just afraid to get close to her. Back at the hotel, the awards ceremony was still ongoing.
Those who didn't want to watch the awards gathered in the banquet hall,
including many wealthy young masters and ladies who came for the fun.
But the atmosphere was off. Everyone was subtly glancing at Himomo.
After all, the person who had been chasing her since childhood had run off with her mortal enemy, and that enemy was Chi Chingru, who outshone her in every way.
So the rich kids didn't dare to joke around,
afraid of angering Himomo. Himomo was indeed very unhappy. She was lounging in a single sofa, flipping through her phone irritably. The trending 6dio of me and Chi Chingru. She watched it several times. The more she watched, the more she wanted to kill me.
She threw her phone aside and said coldly to the person beside her, "Have these trending topics taken down?"
The person beside her was her best friend, Su Tian, who was also watching the trending topics.
Hearing this, Su Tian was a bit surprised. Why take them down? Are you reluctant to see Shi Chen being criticized? Himomo glared at him.
What good does it do me to see him being criticized?
Su Tian clicked her tongue. It doesn't do you any good. But it does 11 White good. The worse Shi Chen's reputation is now, the better 11 White's reputation will be. Since you lie 11 White, why do you care about Shi Chen? Himomo was even more displeased at that. Are you Oku?
Su Tian was stunned for a moment.
When did I ever say I liked 11 White?
Su Tian was full of questions.
Momo, what do you mean by that? Don't tell me you lie, Shi Chen?
Himomo didn't say a word.
But silence was the biggest problem. Ah.
Su Tian quickly lowered her voice and asked, Momo, you've been so close to 11 White these past few years.
I've never seen you be nigh to Shi Chen.
Ask any of the girls around you.
Who thought you liked 11 White?
Everyone treated 11 White as your boyfriend.
Oh, cool. Now you're saying you lie, Shi Chen?
She couldn't help but complain.
Are you crazy? Himomo glanced at her. What do you know? She frowned. It's because Shi Chen has such a bad temper. I'm doing this just to make Shi Chen understand.
Just because he's the eldest son of the Shi family
doesn't mean he can throw a tantrum in front of me.
Himomo took a small sip of red wine.
He needs to know his place. Learn to please me. Besides, the Shi family has kicked him out now. In the end, he'll have no choice but to come to me. Will he dare to act up with me then? So I'm just teaching him a lesson. Su Tian was dumbfounded. So all these years of being nigh to 11 White and cold to Shi Chen was all to teach him? To make him more obedient? What a total toxic woman. She was so shocked she wanted to roll her eyes.
Aren't you supposed to propose to 11 White tomorrow?
Himomo said slowly and deliberately. My husband will only be Shi Chen.
Su Tian was truly speechless.
After a while, she reminded Himomo, hey, but it seems like he hasn't come back to you.
He's gone to Chi Chingru.
Himomo toyed with the cup in her hand. Don't try to outsmart yourself and end up training a husband for someone else. So, he's still not properly trained. He's not obedient enough yet. He probably heard I'm proposing to 11 White tomorrow. That's why he hit 11 White and then went to Chi Chingru, thinking that would make me change my mind. She scoffed. Shi Chen doesn't realize Chi Chingru knows he's my lapdog. Would she even look at him? Wasting his time. Himomo took a sip of wine and said casually, don't worry. It won't be long before he comes back, bowing and scraping, begging me.
A few seconds after she spoke, the heavy doors of the banquet hall slowly opened.
Everyone in the hall looked over.
Their expressions shifted slightly.
A woman with a powerful aura walked in unhurriedly, and then everyone saw me walking in behind her. Himomo suddenly sat up straight, staring intently at me. Chi Chingru smiled at Himomo, then interlaced her fingers with mine. We sat down on an empty sofa, whether Chi Chingru meant to or not. We were directly facing Himomo and her group, with about 10 meters between us. The hall fell silent for a moment. Himomo spoke in a coquettish tone. Cheng, come here quickly. Chi Chingru smiled sweetly, leaned back lazily on the sofa, and said gently, want to go over? She played with my hand as she spoke. I shook my head and said in a confused tone, I don't know her. I'm not going. Everyone heard that, including Himomo. Himomo's face twitched. Shi Chen, I'll give you one more chance. Come here now. Chi Chingru's eyes flickered. She pouted and leaned close to my ear. Shi Chen, don't you want to prove you lot me? Her warm breath made my heart race. She gave a light snort. So, do you dare to kiss me in front of Himomo? As soon as she finished, she saw my eyes light up. Chi Chingru suddenly had a bad feeling. Sure enough, the next second, I kissed her without hesitation. Gasps were heard all around. The banquet hall grew even quieter. How dare he? How many times is this today? Even if he wants to provoke Himomo, he's pushing it too far. He might completely anger Himomo. A woman's sneer was heard nearby. Chi Chingru snapped back to reality. Miss He, what do you think you're doing?
Qingru glanced sideways. Himomo had stood up, seemingly about to come over to us. But she was stopped by another woman. The one stopping Himomo was Qingru's friend, Song Wanwan. When Qingru came in, she and her friends had wanted to come over. But seeing me behind her, they decided to wait and see first.
I saw the trending topics.
I just wish I could have seen the DRA Ma in person.
Didn't expect to see a live version here. Hee hee.
Song Wanwan was surprised but also kept an eye on Himomo. Sure enough, Song Wanwan didn't even think twice. She directly blocked Himomo.
No way, my Qingru's good fortune.
Can't let you crazy woman, Himomo, ruin it.
Absolutely not.
Himomo curled her lips in a sarcastic smile.
Move, Song Wanwan snorted coldly. You say move, and I'll move? Don't I have any face? Himomo said angrily. I'll say it again. Move.
Song Wanwan shrugged, a mischievous grin on her face.
I won't. What are you going to do about it?
Himomo frowned deeply, raised her hand and pointed at Song Wanwan's face.
You, Song Wanwan stepped back.
Stop pointing fingers.
I hate being pointed at.
The atmosphere suddenly became tense.
No one else dared to breathe.
It was only then that I understood. So this was what Qingru meant by proving it. She didn't believe I loved her. She still thought I was using her. She thought I wouldn't dare to kiss her in front of Himomo. Hey, didn't expect that, did you?
I'm more than het pie too.
Qingru looked at the scene and spoke softly.
Enough. Silence fell instantly.
A dozen people looked at Qingru. Qingru's voice was cold.
Don't dirty my place.
Everyone else felt like cold water had been thrown on them. After all, this was the Qi family's territory. Causing trouble here would have endless consequences. Some people looked at Himomo, silently asking what to do next. Himomo's gaze was fixed on me. Su Tian had an idea and said to me, Shurchin, don't you see someone bullying Momo? Why don't you come over and help? Everyone turned to look at me again, including Qingru. I see. You really want to put on a show in front of all these people? I was looking down, pretending not to hear Su Tian's words. Qingru pursed her lips.
Did my words hit a nerve? Himomo had had enough. Ever since Cheng entered the hall, he hadn't even glanced at me. He wasn't like this before. As long as I was around, his eyes were always on me.
She suddenly felt a bit panicked. Something was slipping out of her control.
Himomo gritted her teeth and spoke.
Shurchin, you've had your fun. Come here.
I'll let today slide.
Hearing her tone, as if she were granting a favor,
I looked up.
This was the first time I looked at her tonight. I looked for 2 seconds, then I got up and walked towards Himomo. The displeasure in Himomo's eyes faded.
A hint of smugness appeared.
I knew it. Shurchen was just trying to anger me, provoke me. Everyone else exchanged glances but said nothing. Only when I walked over, they instinctively made way. Song Wanwan hesitated for a moment.
But Himomo, can I come?
What kind of DRA Ma is this?
She rolled her eyes at Himomo,
shook her head helplessly,
and stepped aside.
This guy has terrible taste. How is Qingru not better than this family brat? Qingru's cheeks puffed up slightly.
She pursed her lips and looked away,
tapping her toes lightly on the ground, restraining the urge to pull me back.
If I say one harsh word, you make a face. But when she's mean to you, you still go running to her.
You big idiot.
I should be used to it by now.
But Cheng's performance tonight was too perfect.
It made me a bit dazed.
I actually started to feel a little het pie, thinking Cheng was finally willing to look at me. Forget it. I'll help him one last time. Qingru lowered her head and stood up. No longer looking at me, she turned and walked away.
She had only taken 2 steps when she heard behind her.
Shurchen, are you holding Himomo? Unbelievable. She turned back and saw Himomo pointing at me,
asking incredulously, say that again?
I'll say it 100 times. I don't lie you. I looked down on him. I turned around and asked Qingru with a bright smile, is that Himomo? I told her. I looked down on her. Told her to stop making trouble. Is that Oku, Qingru?
Qingru's heart skipped a beat.
Is Chen really suffering from amnesia? Seeing her not speak, I had an idea. A plan came to mind. I pretended to be hurt and reached out to her.
My leg seems to have cramped. Qingru, come help me.
The hall was dead silent. Qingru looked at me silently for a few seconds. Then, under everyone's gaze, she walked towards me, stopped in front of me without saying a word, and directly put my arm over her shoulder,
supporting me.
I looked at her with starry eyes, smiling brightly. Himomo gritted her teeth and looked up, glaring fiercely at the two of us. Qingru, where are you taking Cheng?
He's mine. Are you? I have a bad feeling.
If Qingru takes Cheng away,
I'll really lose him.
Qingru just tilted her head to look at her. The coldness in her eyes dissipated, but a joyful curve played on her lips.
From now on, he's mine. Chen chose to come to me. Whether he's lost his memory or using me, there's no room for regret.
Qingru smiled like a flower. Supporting me, who had willingly come to her, she left directly.
Qingru still took me to the hospital. No other reason.
just to see if Achin really had something wrong with his head. After getting in the car, I couldn't help but lean towards her.
Chingru was still cold and said, "Sit still." The corner of my mouth twitched. "Chingru, don't you lie me holding you? You're so cold now."
Bad woman. Chingru leaned back in her seat and asked lightly,
"Did you cling to Himomo lie this before?" "Lie, you have no bones. Always leaning on people." I frowned and muttered quietly,
"Why do you keep bringing her up?" Chingru just turned to look out the window, too lazy to say anything more.
"Do I want to bring up Himomo? Have you really forgotten how many years you liked Himomo?"
At the hospital,
Chingru arranged a full trek-up for me,
even including a psychiatric evaluation. I was speechless. If a trek-up would put Chingro's mind at ease, then let's do it. The other tests were fine, but when it came to the psychiatric evaluation, I had to answer a lot of questions. No matter what the doctor asked, I just said I didn't know. Only when asked about Chingru did my eyes light up. After a round of diagnosis, the doctor had mixed feelings. Finally, he wrote 3 words on the diagnosis form and handed it to Chingru, who was waiting outside. With a strange smile, he placed the diagnosis form in Chingro's hand. "Sigh, don't worry. He's mentally normal.
No major issues.
Sigh, just this one little quirk."
I followed behind the doctor.
So the doctor knew Chingru too. The doctor turned back and smiled at me, then turned to Chingru and said, "I'm busy. Make yourselves at home."
I quickly said, "Thank you."
And then I watched him go back to his office, then walked up to Chingru. With an innocent look, I asked her,
"What did the doctor say?"
Chingru glanced at the diagnosis form. With a complicated expression, she handed it to me.
"See for yourself." I took it and looked.
At the bottom, I saw the diagnosis. Physical and mental examination.
No organic disease.
Emotions affected by relationship issues. Mentally normal. I was a bit confused.
"What does that mean?" Chingru sighed. "Sigh, it means you're in LOP." I nodded, looking overjoyed.
This doctor is quite perceptive. Chingro's mood was complicated. She read it from beginning to end.
His body really is fine. If he's deliberately pretending to get close to me, then what is Chang's real gone? It's not because of Himomo. What else could make Chan go to such lengths
to actively approach me, whom he supposedly hates?
If he's not pretending, can a person really change completely in one day?
Chingru couldn't help but reach out and feel my head twice.
"No bumps?" she asked me tentatively.
"Did you get your head caught in the elevator door this morning?"
I looked at her speechlessly.
"You could be more obvious with your sarcasm."
I asked her helplessly. "Why can't you believe me? That I really lie you?"
Chingru withdrew her hand and met my eyes. "What do you think? Would you believe it?"
Yeah, I didn't believe Chingru really liked me either. Until that fire. I spoke seriously. "Actually, I've always liked you. It's not lie, I just fell for you today." "Always?" Chingru's eyelashes fluttered. A bit confused by the word always, I spoke earnestly.
"I just didn't dare to get close to you before."
"You're so good, and you were always so distant with me. I always felt I wasn't good enough." My tone was a bit dejected.
Chingru frowned, both annoyed and amused.
"Sure, Chen, don't turn things around. You're the one who's always been cold to me." I started to argue. That was because I loved but couldn't have. LOP turned to hate.
Chingru gritted her teeth even harder.
"Sweet talk won't work.
Don't try to change the subject."
The corner of my mouth twitched.
"Sigh, can't you just let me win this once?"
"I'm trying to confess my feelings here." Chingru was silent for a moment.
Suppressing the irritation in her heart, she turned and walked away.
I watched her back and stood still.
Seeing she had no intention of stopping,
I called out to her, "Chingru." Chingru stopped and turned to look at me. I blinked and softened my tone. "Chingru, my leg hurts."
Chingru knew right away that I was trying to be difficult again.
She snorted, "Then don't move."
"Go or don't, I don't care." She turned and walked away. I just stood there, not moving, and didn't say anything else.
Chingru was almost at the elevator door. She closed her eyes,
then turned around without hesitation and walked back.
Gritting her teeth, she whispered in my ear,
"Shurchin, I must have owed you in a past life."
I grinned,
put my arm around her shoulder, and gently brushed my lips against her cheek.
Then I whispered,
"No, it's me who owes you."
"My Chingru." She snorted, "You owe me."
"Shouldn't you be carrying me then?"
"Have you ever seen a debtor bossing around the creditor?" I answered her seriously. "Normally,
it's not easy for a creditor to collect a debt.
The bigger the debt, the harder it is.
So the creditor has to coax and please the debtor.
Only then can the debt be slowly repaid."
Chingru snorted. "You have a lot of twisted logic."
I leaned closer to her ear and whispered, "The debt I owe you is huge, so you have to stay with me for a lifetime. That way, I'll have a lifetime
to slowly repay my debt to my Chingru, Oku."
A lifetime. We stepped into the elevator.
She looked up and stared at me intently. "Sure, Chen.
Do you know what a lifetime means?"
"Of course I do." I looked deeply into her eyes
and answered word by word.
"A lifetime means never leaving.
Growing old together.
Qingru and I lie in the same apartment building.
She's upstairs, I'm downstairs.
After being kicked out of the Sure family,
I had nowhere to go.
it was Song-yi who rented the apartment for me. Later, I found out the apartment actually belonged to Qingru. She had secretly arranged for it to be rented cheaply to Song-yi.
Qingru took me back to my place.
Can I really not stay at your place?
Qingru just gave me a look.
Behave yourself, I just said, oh, and walked home, looking back every few steps. Qingru stood at the elevator entrance, looking at me with disdain.
I reluctantly went inside.
After making sure I had closed the door, the disdain on Qingru's face instantly turned into joy.
The corners of her mouth lifted and then pressed down. What a thrilling night. So many ups and downs. Even now.
Achen's words in the hostile elevator, never leaving.
Growing old together, are still echoing in my ears. But it still feels unreal. Am I dreaming?
I don't know if my actions, my words, possibility has suppressed for years.
God knows how much I held back. To resist the urge to take A-Chang home, Qingru took one last look at my closed door, then went upstairs, entered the bathroom, and washed up. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through Qingru's hand. She gasped.
The toothbrush in her hand fell. She looked at her hand.
There was no mark on her skin. But the pain was still there. Qingru turned off the faucet, left the bathroom and sat on the sofa. She raised her hand and looked at the back of it. The pain was slowly fading. Qingru leaned back on the sofa and closed her eyes. Just then, the doorbell rang. She opened her eyes. She immediately saw that cheeky face on the 6DO doorbell. Qingru sighed helplessly.
Achen, can't you give me a break?
Then she laughed at herself.
Forget it. Wasn't I hoping he would come?
Qingru walked over and opened the door, saying helplessly,
Sure Chin, do you know what time it is?
She saw I was still wearing the same clothes.
Wondering what I had been doing all that time,
I stood at the door
and pitifully held out my hand to her. Qingru, my hand was scratched by furball.
The scratch on my hand was very obvious. Qingru stared at my wound. Her heart skipped a beat.
Isn't this exactly where I felt the pain?
What a coincidence.
She snapped back to reality and asked me, have you treated it?
I shook my head.
I don't know how. Qingru frowned.
You own a cat.
And you don't know how to treat a scratch. That's right, Furball is my cat. I've had him for 4 years. When I left the Sure family,
I only brought him with me.
I answered matter-of-factly, but I've never been scratched by a cat before.
It's normal not to know. Qingru was too lazy to argue with me. She grabbed my wrist and led me into the room. A hint of a smile flashed in my eyes.
Qingru suddenly turned around. I blinked.
And instantly looked pitiful again. What's wrong? Your acting is really good. Qingru muttered and pulled me into the kitchen. Turned on the faucet.
Held my hand under the running water.
Let the water rinse my wound. I flinched slightly.
The wound stung from the water.
Qingru's hand holding mine trembled. She had a vague bad feeling. Because at that moment,
she also felt a slight pain on the back of her hand.
She stared intently at my wound.
This wound isn't very deep, just a little scratch.
This wound isn't deep, just a slight scratch. There's a little bit of redness. I breathed slowly, pushing down the strange thoughts. Qingru speaks. I'll have someone come over later to give you a rabies shot. I nodded. We were very close at that moment. I lowered my head slightly and saw her frowning little face. I looked down at her furrowed brows. My heart stirred.
Qingru felt uncomfortable under my gaze. She casually pulled her clothes together.
I glanced at her, stingy.
Qingru was silent for a moment, then asked me curiously,
Why did your cat scratch you? You've had the cat for so many years. Why would it suddenly scratch you? And it's a male cat I personally took to get neutered. I muttered under my breath. I don't know. I feel like there's something unclean in my house. Qingru was a bit speechless. Achin is getting more and more ridiculous. He can make up anything. I continued. I looked at her seriously. He might have seen something. That's why he went crazy, Qingru. I don't even dare to go back now, really. He's really fierce now.
He goes crazy as soon as he sees me.
I was actually a bit guilty.
Feeling Lai Maoqiu had sensed something was wrong with me.
Qingru, listen to me make up a shitari. So what? I looked at her with hopeful eyes. So, can I stay at your place for one night? Qingru leaned in and looked at me. Sure Chen. How come I'm just now discovering how thick-skinned you are? I swore solemnly.
Everything I said is true. If you don't believe me,
you can come downstairs and see for yourself.
Qingru looked at me for a few seconds, suddenly remembering the strange pain.
She nodded. Oh cool.
After she said that, she walked towards the living room.
You've rinsed it enough. Dry your hands first. I'll disinfect it for you. She took out the first aid kit.
She held my hand, dipped a cotton swab in iodine, and applied it to the wound.
The moment it touched, there was a stinging pain on my hand.
Qingru's hand holding the cotton swab trembled slightly.
The feeling of sharing my pain became clearer and clearer. She looked up at me. Does it hurt? I nodded. Just a little. Qingru knew it was just a little.
She took a deep breath and threw the cotton swab away.
Let's go. Let's check out your place. When we arrived at the door downstairs, I hid behind Qingru. Qingru turned back to look at me helplessly. This is your home. What are you hiding from? My expression was complicated. He's really fierce. When I got home earlier, Maoqiu was sleeping on the sofa, a fluffy ball. I sat down next to him and stared blankly at him for a while, gently rubbing his fluffy head with my fingers. I haven't seen him for such a long time. In the fire from my past life, Maoqiu didn't make it out. Then he suddenly woke up. First,
He rubbed his head against my palm. Just as he was about to jump onto me, his round eyes suddenly widened. Almost instantly, his fur stood on end. I didn't have time to pull my hand back
and got a scratch.
I hurriedly stood up and stepped back. Mochio arched his back and stared at me fiercely. He was about to pounce on me. Instinctively, I ran upstairs to Chi-Ching-ro's place. Now the door was open, and the lights inside were still on. Seeing that I didn't seem to be lying, Chi-Ching-ru walked into the living room first. Stepping into the entrance, she saw the long-haired cat in the living room. It was spinning in circles on the living room floor. Chi-Ching-ru turned her head and looked at me incredulously.
This is what you call fierce?
I was about to speak. Mauchio heard the sound and looked over. The cat that had been playing happily just now instantly bristled again, arching its back and baring its teeth, ready to pounce on me. I instinctively grabbed Chi-Ching-ro's small hand. I reflexively stood in front of her.
I said helplessly, see?
This is it. Mauchio was about to charge over. Chi-Ching-ru pulled me to avoid him. She said coldly, Mauchio, stop.
I held Chi-Ching-ro's hand tightly. He's a cat. Can he understand you?
We should just leave quickly. Tomorrow, I'll have someone take him to the vet. Just then, Mauchio looked at Chi-Ching-ru. He was clearly stunned for a moment. Then the ferocity in his eyes actually disappeared.
His bristled fur instantly smoothed down.
It was as if he had seen a long-lost family member. He rubbed against Chi-Ching-ro's leg and meowed, acting spoiled and coquettish. Chi-Ching-ru thought his behavior was a bit like mine. She chuckled softly, her voice becoming gentler.
I think he's more obedient than you. I was speechless and complained.
This ungrateful Mauchio.
I raised him with so much effort. How could he do this to me?
Chi-Ching-ru curled her lips. All right, let go of me first. I held her small hand and didn't let go. Chi-Ching-ru turned her head to look at me. I leaned close to her face and gently touched her cheek. Then I withdrew my hand. A hint of dissatisfaction flashed through Chi-Ching-ro's heart, waiting for Achin to steal another kiss from me. Chi-Ching-ru bent down and picked up the cat rubbing against her leg.
She sat on the sofa and put the cat on her lap.
Her fingers stroked Mauchio's head. She carefully checked him for anything wrong. Mauchio was very docile in her arms, quietly lying there, letting her touch and examine him. I stood to the side, watching the now docile Mauchio. I wanted to walk over, but as soon as I got within 3 steps, Mauchio suddenly lifted his head and bared his teeth at me. I froze. Chi-Ching-ru frowned. She gently tapped Mauchio on the head. Who are you being fierce at? Mauchio meowed again, and then lay down, deflated. But his eyes were fixed on me, still not very friendly. Chi-Ching-ru looked up at me standing not far away. My face showed frustration. Chi-Ching-ru's fingers curled slightly.
I've checked him.
There's nothing wrong with him, I said dejectedly.
Then why is he so fierce with me?
It's like he doesn't recognize me as his owner anymore. Chi-Ching-ru's eyes lowered. Maybe it's not the cat's problem,
but the problem of the man in front of me.
Chi-Ching-ru wasn't a superstitious person,
but I've also heard
that cats are extremely sensitive animals.
What did A-Chang do to make him so uneasy? Or is the person in front of me really the Achin I know?
This thought made her heart race. Chi-Ching-ru threw the cat off her lap onto the floor and gently patted his bottom, telling him to go play somewhere else. Mauchio didn't leave. He jumped back onto the sofa and curled up next to her.
Chi-Ching-ru ignored him and looked up at me.
Sure, Chin. She reached out her hand to me. Come here. I stepped forward and took her hand. Following her pull, I sat down next to her. Chi-Ching-ru leaned closer to me. My eyes widened slightly, a little confused. Huh? Ching-ru, this is the first time today she's actively come close to me. Her fingertip gently tapped my chin, signaling me to look at her. Chi-Ching-ru's voice was a little shy. Don't move.
Let me look. Our faces were very close.
So close I could see the reflection in her pupils.
I asked, puzzled.
What are you looking at? Chi-Ching-ru's small hand gently caressed my face. She looked at me, her clear eyes reflecting her own image.
Now I'm sure the man sitting next to me is Achin.
He blushed a little as he looked at me.
Achin, there's no one else now.
I didn't understand her implication. And then Chi-Ching-ru slowly leaned closer to me, her voice slightly hoarse as she asked,
do you still want to kiss?
Her breath was sweet, her lips very close when she spoke, almost touching my lips. My breath caught, because I saw the concern and seriousness in her eyes.
I was quite familiar with this look.
In my past life, she also looked at me like this. After that day, the related videos were exposed. Just as everyone was guessing about my relationship with Chi-Ching-ru, someone else leaked information that Chi-Ching-ru and the second young master Su of the Jing family were about to get engaged. The two families had already agreed before the new year. Second young master Su Miu even posted on Weibo,
pointedly saying,
a man who does many unjust deeds will bring his own destruction. Everyone understood he was talking about me. For a time, public opinion was full of malice towards me, even though the trending topic was quickly taken down. Su Miu also deleted his pot and apologized. Chi-Ching-ru personally posted on Weibo to clarify, saying that he was the one actively pursuing me, and that he and Su Mia had no relationship. But by then, almost no one was willing to believe it. I was surrounded by public opinion, under immense pressure. Even my family's parents were cold towards me, not to mention Himomo. The look in her eyes was full of distance and rejection. That period was very painful for me.
The pain had nowhere to go,
so I could only vent it all on Chi-Ching-ru. Back then, she looked at me like this.
And back then, I mistook that concern for malice.
It was only much later that I understood. The persistence and gentleness in her eyes was a lot she had suppressed for many years. She had liked me for a very, very long time. Chi-Ching-ru saw me suddenly spacing out. She gently bit her lip and asked, don't want to kiss anymore. I snapped back to reality. My hands instinctively hugged her. No, it's not that. Then what about kissing? Her voice carried an unconscious hint of shyness. I'm offering myself for Achin to kiss.
Her words made my ears burn.
But just a moment ago, I suddenly thought of things from my past life. Knowing I had to clarify this first, I reached out and gently pushed her back a little. As she looked at me with slight annoyance,
I asked her directly.
Are you and Sumyu going to get engaged? Chi Qingru was stunned. Who is Sumyu? I was full of helplessness. Actually, she had explained it to me last time, that she had no relationship with Sumyu. Her family had indeed arranged for them to meet once before, and she had clearly refused at that time. But today, I went VRO with Chi Qingru. Now everyone is guessing about our relationship, although I wasn't set up by anyone this time. According to the process of my past life, tomorrow, news of Chi Qingru and Sumyu's engagement would hit the trending topics. Sumyu would also pot again. So this time, I need to handle this matter first. I can't wait for the public opinion to ferment before remedying it. Most people nowadays are unwilling to believe clarifications after the fact. I glared at her, reminding her, the second young master of the Su family, Sumyu, who came back from abroad before the new year. Didn't you two go on a blind date? And you say you don't know him. Speaking of which, I happened to run into Chi Qingru and Sumyu's blind date. I coincidentally saw them. At that time, I was walking out of a restaurant private room with Sumyu. I glared at Chi Qingru from afar, muttering to myself, how come I run into him wherever I go?
And he's with a handsome guy. It's really annoying.
Now I realize I was jealous without knowing it.
So that was her on a blind date.
And now she's pretending not to know who he is. I immediately tried to break free from her. Chi Qingru said gently, Cheng, be good. Then she said, as if suddenly realizing,
You mean Su'er?
Su'er. I felt even more jealous.
You're calling him pretty intimately.
Calling him Su'er, but calling me by my full name, right? Chi Qingru said helplessly.
Everyone calls him that.
I didn't even know his full name. What else was I supposed to call him? Sumia has been abroad since he was a child and only came back a few months ago. He's not familiar with the young masters and ladies of the Jing family's elite circles.
I've only met Sumyu once. I really didn't remember his name. I just knew everyone calls him Su'er.
As she spoke, Chi Qingru nuzzled her little face against my chest. Her voice was smiling. Besides, if calling him Su'er
counts as intimate, do you want me to call you Shurda from now on?
I was left speechless by her rebuttal. Shurda really doesn't sound good. Fine, let's not dwell on that. I asked her, puzzled. So what did you say during that blind date with him?
Chi Qingru pouted.
Just meeting once counts as a blind date?
I sighed. My grandmother did ask me to go meet him. But I didn't know I was meeting him before I went to the restaurant. After I got there, I refused him directly. This was pretty much what she had told me in my past life.
I frowned slightly. What about your family? They naturally respect my wishes. The Chi family doesn't need any arranged marriage. My parents prioritize what I want. Besides, this matter was arranged by my grandmother at the time. Grandma and Sumyu's grandmother were close friends, although they drifted apart later. But Sumyu's grandmother was the one who brought it up. Grandma just gave me face to go meet him. It was by no means a serious intention to form an alliance.
I fell into deep thought.
They really have no relationship. I breathed a sigh of relief. But Sumyu posting on Weibo had to be prevented.
What should I do?
Chi Qingru looked at me, slightly confused.
I feel like Achin is getting weirder and weirder. Although I'm sure he's Achin, something still feels off.
She tilted her head and glanced at Maochio, still curled up beside her.
His look towards me was still unfriendly. Chi Qingru pouted and looked at me. That was so long ago.
You even glared at me back then.
You think I didn't notice? Why are you suddenly bringing this up now? Her little face showed displeasure. Are you trying to reject me?
So you made up this lousy excuse to brush me off?
Sure, Chin, can't you keep up the act anymore? I looked at her, softening my voice. I'm not acting.
Then prove it to me. Chi Qingru leaned closer to me.
Achin, come a little closer. Acheng doesn't want to kiss me. Then I'll just kiss him instead.
I don't want to hold back anymore. After all, he was the one who came close to me first. I was about to say something. Chi Qingru slowly leaned towards me. Her nose almost touched my cheek.
My heart stirred.
I felt that her current gentleness was different from her strong-willed nature in my past life. In my past life, there was almost no such gentle miracle. The cat that had been curled up next to Chi Qingru suddenly became restless again, rubbing and scratching against Chi Qingru's leg. Chi Qingru turned her head to look at the troublesome cat beside her. I also looked at him, but as soon as I met his gaze, he instantly became fierce. Chi Qingru frowned and scolded him softly.
Mochio, the cat meowed, soundingly pitiful.
I felt a bit uneasy and said to her,
I don't want to stay here tonight.
Chi Qingru noticed my discomfort. She took my hand and was about to leave. The cat saw we were leaving and lightly jumped off the floor to follow,
but was stopped by a look from Chi Qingru. He meowed and lay down, looking at me pitifully. He really was my cat.
That look was very similar to mine. Chi Qingru ignored him. As the door closed,
I turned back to look at the cat in the living room.
Maochio's rejection of me,
and his preventing Chi Qingru and me from getting close.
Was it because Maochio could sense that I was different from before?
Chi Qingru led me back to her room. I was still muttering in her ear,
See, I told you he was fierce. Chi Qingru looked at me and said, so what do we do?
Get rid of him?
She said this while walking towards the kitchen. I frowned upon hearing this. I begged to keep him for a full 4 years. He was a birthday gift someone gave me. I didn't know who sent him at the time. The card left at the door just said Hep Pi birthday. I asked around, but no one knew who sent him. Back then, my friends even made fun of the person who gave the gift for giving such an ordinary-looking cat. They forgot that I've loved cats since I was a child. The one I had when I was little. After Shuribai came to the Shur family, it was sent away because he was allergic to cat hair. Now I know Mauchio was a gift from Chi Qingru. I can't bear to give him up.
But in this situation,
maybe it really isn't suitable to keep him anymore. I watched Chi Qingru's back as she poured water. My eyes lit up. How about this? I'll lie here from now on, and have Song-yi help me take care of Mauchio downstairs. When Mauchio stops rejecting me, I'll move back. Chi Qingru held the water glass, turned around, and looked at me slyly. Then why don't you just send the cat directly to Song-yi's place? I said with a straight face, talking nonsense. Mauchio is attached to this place. If he changes places, he won't eat or sleep well. He'll get sick. Chi Qingru's lips curled slightly. She handed me the glass in her hand. So, you're not attached to the place? I took the glass and took a sip. I'm not attached to a place. I'm only attached to a person. I smiled brightly.
As long as you're here, I can eat well and sleep well,
and be extremely well behaved. Chi Qingru's voice was gentle and pleasant. Sure Chen, I met her gaze. Chi Qingru's fair little hand touched my ear and gave it a gentle tug.
You seem like a different person.
Her words sounded like a joke,
but my eyes flickered.
My hand holding the glass even trembled slightly unconsciously. I forced myself to stay calm. What? Your imagination is really wild. I felt inexplicably panicked.
I don't care. I'm staying here.
If you try to kick me out, I'll sleep right outside your door. After saying that, I turned to go back to the living room.
I was afraid she would see through me.
If she found out I was different from before, would she also start to distance herself from me, like Mauchio? But as I turned, she wrapped her arms around my waist. Before I could react, she pressed her forehead against mine. No one knows. This was a scene he never dared to dream of before. Achin used to always keep his distance from me. His eyes were only on Himomo. Every time I saw Achin happily following Himomo,
I really wanted to ask him what he saw in Himomo.
Clearly, I'm not inferior to her, right? I asked him once. When he was pushed away by Himomo again, I asked him jokingly what he saw in Himomo.
He might as well lie me.
I'm clearly not worse than Himomo. But he said, I don't have those feelings for you. Over the years, Chi Qingru often thought, if Achin would give me even a 10,000th of the gentleness he shows Himomo,
I would be very Hep Pi.
And now, it's like a dream has suddenly come true. Achin is right in front of me, saying he loves me, saying he wants to be with me forever, saying he wants to take the initiative to get close to me. But in just a few seconds, a sound suddenly came from the door. Someone opened the door and came in. Before seeing the person, I heard their voice.
Qingru, what's wrong so late?
Why do I need to come give you a rabies shot? The voice then paused,
followed by an oh my.
The moment I heard the voice, I hugged Chi Qingru and moved into the kitchen. Song Wanyan stood at the entrance, watching the two people who had just been there disappear. She had clearly seen what Qingru was doing.
Oh ho, that's a different kind of closeness than with Himomo. I never thought I'd get to witness Chi Qingru's lop life firsthand.
Just then, Chi Qingru walked out and gave Song Wanyan a glare. Song Wanyan, your ambiguous thoughts.
I didn't see anything, I swear.
You two continue. I was never here. After saying that, she happily turned and left, even thoughtfully closing the door behind her. Song Wanyan leaned against the door and let out a breath.
Hee hee, this is way too exciting.
The elevator dinged. Liang Chengcheng walked out carrying a medical kit. She saw Song Wanyan and asked curiously, what are you standing here for? Then she looked at the door behind her. Does Qingru really have a dog? Song Wanyan thought for a moment and nodded. She said meaningfully,
not just a dog, there's a cat too. They're fighting right now.
Don't rush. Let's wait until they're done before going in. Liang Qingqing's eyes widened upon hearing this. Back in the room, I walked out of the kitchen. Do we still continue? I said, speechless. Can you really still continue? Chi Qingru's eyes curved into crescents.
Getting shy now?
Back when you were in front of all those people, I didn't see you being so reserved. That was different. Back then, it was out in the open. Now, we're at home but got caught by someone.
Aren't you embarrassed?
Chi Qingru really didn't understand my thought process. She just found it a bit amusing. She took my hand and shook it.
Aren't we openly close now? Are we sneaking around?
I whispered confidently.
I think we really are sneaking around.
Chi Qingru was exasperated by my logic. So, Shurchin, you don't want to go public? As she spoke, the light in her eyes dimmed. Achin still doesn't plan to make our relationship public. Or is he still acting and lying to me? But I shook my head. No, it's you. After all, when I want to be close to her openly, she always pretends to be reserved and pushes me away. But in private, she's very proactive. Isn't that just not wanting to go public? I turned to look at her. See, you won't let me get close when we're out. Count for yourself. How many times did you reject me outside today? Chi Qingru didn't expect me to turn it around on her. Qingru showed impatience when she saw me in the morning. But by evening, she changed and came close. Would I dare to be proactive? Chi Qingru was genuinely amused. She directly hooked my arm. Lifting her little face, she looked straight at me.
Do you mean I should call them in now? And continue what we were doing in front of them?
When I spoke, Chi Qingru nodded. After saying that, she let go of me. I was stunned. I turned, and she had already walked to the living room. She didn't actually believe it, that I would continue this in front of Song Wanwan. But I didn't stop her from opening the door. After all, it's rude to keep people locked out. I finished the water I had just picked up. Chi Qingru had already opened the door.
Come in.
Liang Chengcheng was clearly still out of it. He didn't understand what Song Wanwan meant by cats and dogs fighting. He looked at the strange expression on Song Wanwan's face. Then, carrying his medical kit, he curiously poked his head in. Then he looked at Chi Qingru.
Wanwan said your cat and dog are fighting. When did you get them?
Then he saw me in the living room. He belatedly realized the implication of Song Wanwan's words. Song Wanwan, still outside, finally let out a laugh. Then she followed him in. This time, she smiled especially brightly when she saw me. Hello, brother-in-law. All three of them looked at Song Wanwan. Liang Chengcheng looked at her in disbelief. He asked with his eyes, "You're already calling him brother-in-law?" Song Wanwan exchanged glances with him.
What do you know?
Qingru is clearly serious. Song Wanwan won decisively. Liang Chengcheng also obediently greeted me. Hello, brother-in-law. Honestly, being called that by them suddenly was a bit awkward, but I politely responded. Hello to you too. Chi Qingru looked at me tenderly. Clearly, she was very satisfied with how they addressed me. You two sit for a bit. As she said this, she walked over to me. Song Wanwan didn't think much of it. She pulled Liang Chengcheng to sit on the sofa. Liang Chengcheng asked curiously, Sister Qingru,
Are you getting a rabies shot?
He suddenly tugged at Song Wanwan's hand. His voice was strange as he cleared his throat.
What is it?
Song Wanwan turned and saw the two of them pressed together.
She immediately covered her mouth.
You opened the door just to let us watch you two date? We're bright enough light bulbs, aren't we? The two of them stiffly turned to look at each other. Clearly, they were both shocked by Chi Qingru's move.
Still think I just don't want to go public?
I shook my head vigorously.
No, you're really open and generous.
A hint of shyness flashed across Chi Qingru's face.
If that's not enough, we can go to the living room, right in front of them.
I suddenly covered her mouth. That's terrifying. This woman is still as wild as in the past life. Enough. Really, enough. Chi Qingru and I locked eyes for 2 seconds. I felt something touch my palm. I instinctively pulled back my hand and completely surrendered. I think I'd better get the Vec Xan first. Chi Qingru pulled me toward the bathroom. Take a shower first. You can't shower after getting the Vec Xan. I was stunned. But I don't. Chi Qingru seemed to know what I was going to say. Toiletries. There are new ones in the bathroom. As for your change of clothes, I'll go downstairs and get them for you. She went into the bathroom to prepare things for me. You wash up first. I'll bring them up and hang them on the door. I nodded and reminded her. Then bring me a few more sets of clothes. Chi Qingru smiled gently. Oh cool. With that, she turned and left, giving me space. When she returned to the living room, the two sitting on the sofa looked at her with strange expressions. Chi Qingru paused. She looked back calmly. What is it? Liang Chengcheng shook his head and smiled. Song Wanwan raised an eyebrow.
TSK, Qingru, I didn't know you had this side.
Chi Qingru rarely felt shy in front of her friends. It's okay. You'll be the same when you find a boyfriend. Song Wanwan pouted. I'm not lie you. Okay? Chi Qingru walked out, her tone teasing. That Jiang guy, you're not different with him either, are you?
Well then, I won't tell you his news.
Song Wanwan immediately scrambled off the sofa. She trotted over to Chi Qingru and whined. Qingru, do you have news about Jiang Fen? Chi Qingru said with a smile. Wanwan, aren't you different?
Why do you want his news?
I'm the same. I'm the same as you.
Qingru, my dear Qingru. Tell me his news.
Chi Qingru had already walked to the door and stopped. She looked at her meaningfully.
Go look in Hong Kong.
Song Wanwan's expression sobered.
She said seriously. Thank you, Qingru.
With that, she left without a second's delay. Liang Chengcheng on the sofa was silent for a moment.
He asked doubtfully, Is that Jiang guy really in Hong Kong?
As soon as he arrived in Hong Kong this afternoon,
I got the news.
But as she spoke, she watched Song Wanwan enter the elevator.
I heard he went to Hong Kong with his girlfriend.
Liang Chengcheng frowned. Then what about Wanwan? Chi Qingru's tone was calm.
If she can win him back, that's her skill.
If she can't, she has to face reality. After all, she was the one who drove him away. She can't blame anyone else. With that, she dropped the subject. She said to Liang Chengcheng, sit for a while. I'll go downstairs to pack some things for Shurchen. Liang Chengcheng sighed softly. Oh cool. Alright, go ahead. As soon as Chi Qingru opened the door downstairs, the cat at home rushed over. It meowed loudly, rubbing against her leg, begging for affection. Chi Qingru bent down and rubbed its head. She asked softly,
Why are you so mean to Chen?
The cat couldn't answer her. It just rubbed its head against her palm. Chi Qingru sighed and patted its head.
Begging me won't help.
Tomorrow, I'll have someone trim your claws. With that, she walked straight to the bedroom. The cat followed behind her. The layout upstairs and downstairs was the same. She easily found the master bedroom. She pushed open the door, turned on the light, and went straight to the walk-in closet. Chi Qingru looked at the few scattered clothes in the closet. Her delicate brows furrowed slightly.
Chen's clothes never used to repeat. The few times I've seen him this month,
he seems to be wearing the same few outfits. Chi Qingru picked out a set of pajamas for me. When she opened the drawer and saw the underwear, she blushed with shyness. She casually grabbed a few and threw them into a bag. Chi Qingru inadvertently spotted a small black velvet box. I've seen this box before. A few days ago, Song Yi and I were at the styling studio. At the time, I was asking Song Yi if it was too simple, too cheap. Would he lie it?
Song Yi rolled her eyes.
TSA, no matter how expensive what you give her is, she might not even lie it. Besides, what kind of situation are you in now? It's already good that you're thinking of giving her a gift. I sighed. True. Then I saw Chi Qingru. I immediately turned my face away. Chi Qingru didn't hear what I muttered, but she could probably guess. It probably wasn't anything good. Chi Qingru knew who the thing in the box was for. An indescribable emotion drove her to pick up the box. Her fingers trembled slightly as she opened the lid. Inside the box lay an exquisite hair kit. Beneath the hair kit was a folded sticky note. Chi Qingru bit her lip. She carefully pulled out the sticky note. Momo, happy birthday. Chi Qingru's heart sank to the bottom. Sure enough, even though she already knew, it still hurt unbearably now. If I remember correctly, Momo's birthday was 3 days ago.
Why didn't Chen give the gift?
Chi Qingru closed her eyes.
Sure Chen, why didn't you choose me?
Were you hurt by Momo and using me as a replacement? Controlling the trembling in her fingertips, Chi Qingru put the box back. She packed up her things and turned to leave. When she returned to the bedroom, the sound of water from the bathroom hadn't stopped yet. Chi Qingru hung the bag on the door. She knocked. Soon, the water stopped. My clear voice came through. Qingru, is that you? Chi Qingru spoke. Her voice carried an uncontrollable disappointment.
I hung your clothes on the door.
Get them yourself later. I replied, I'm almost done washing up. Chi Qingru said softly, no rush. She wanted to say more, but in the end, she just lowered her eyes and turned to leave. Not long after, I came out of the bathroom. I sat down next to Chi Qingru. I asked Liang Chengcheng to give me the Radies Vet Xan. Chi Qingru watched from the side, her brows furrowed. When the needle went into my arm, the slight sting made her frown gently. Chi Qingru's eyes flickered. Liang Chengcheng couldn't stand it anymore.
He was single.
He sensitively noticed the awkward atmosphere, so after explaining the precautions and the next appointment time, he quickly took his leave. I looked up at Chi Qingru. Our eyes met. Qingru, what's wrong? I asked, puzzled.
Chi Qingru's mood was off.
She was fine before I went to shower. Chi Qingru didn't answer. Chen. I looked at her. What is it? She reached out and wrapped her arms around my neck. Leaning close to my ear, she asked softly.
Do you want to marry me?
I was a bit incredulous. Marry? She was still close to my ear. Let's set the engagement now.
Set the engagement now. What do you mean by now?
I was a bit confused.
I mean, let's finalize it now.
Get the marriage certificate tomorrow morning.
Chi Qingru whispered in my ear. Chen, do you want to marry me?
I suddenly felt a bit dazed. Married? Qingru had mentioned it many times in the past life too. At first, I was very cold to her. Later, when I became like that, I was even more unwilling. After that, Qingru stopped bringing it up. She just silently stayed by my side.
But in the drawer of her study,
I saw a custom-made pair of wedding diamond rings. I secretly tried them on. They fit perfectly. My silence made Chi Qingru's breath catch. The air was so quiet you could clearly hear the heartbeat. Her voice was a bit disappointed. Chen doesn't want to? Of course not.
I'd be thrilled.
Chi Qingru finally dared to turn her eyes and meet mine. Qingru, I'm so happy. I spun her around in a circle. Qingru, I really like you. I want to marry you. Really? Chi Qingru's heart tightened. If I hadn't known since childhood how much Chen disliked me, if I hadn't just seen that hair kip he didn't give out 2 days ago, I would really believe him. Big liar. Who says Chen's acting is bad?
He acts really well.
But even knowing it's a deception, Chi Qingru was willing to savor it in this moment.
She pouted. Chen, remember what you said. If I find out you're lying to me,
I couldn't help but ask, and then?
Then I'll cling to you and never leave your side. I'll stick to you every day.
My heart pounded violently. She's really becoming more and more like the Chi Qingru I know. Just when Chi Qingru thought I'd be scared by her words, I smiled brightly. Okay. I then asked curiously.
But you said we'd set the engagement now. It's almost midnight. How do we prepare? As long as Chen is willing, there's always time.
Chi Qingru made a few phone calls.
In about an hour.
Bags full of various clothes and accessories filled the living room.
She pouted apologetically. It's all because it's so late now. Tomorrow, I'll have more sent over. These are all custom made to your taste.
Pick a set to try on. We'll take photos tomorrow. I didn't understand but said, oh. Chi Qingru changed into a white dress in the room. I picked an outfit from the bags. One from the same series as hers. It looked like a couple's outfit. The doorbell rang. Chi Qingru leaned in and gently kissed me.
I looked at her with amusement.
Go open the door. We'll have plenty of time after we're married. Chi Qingru nodded in agreement. She turned and walked over. The ones who came were staff from the wedding planning and high-end boutique. After the staff entered, seeing us, their gossip fire burned brightly. Before coming, they were complaining, wondering who was making them work in the middle of the night, having to prepare a wedding at this hour. The 3 of them couldn't help but guess. Why the rush to finalize the marriage? Could it be, as the online analysis says, that Chen has something to hold over Chi Qingru? The next day, when we were registering at the Civil Affairs Bureau, the staff clearly recognized us. Their eyes were full of gossip. The 2 of us sat side by side. Chi Qingru looked at me and suddenly said, wait. I looked at her puzzled. What's wrong? The staff member's heart also jumped into their throat. Here it comes. The young lady is having second thoughts. Watching the drama is so exciting. Chi Qingru gently straightened my tie. It's a bit crooked. Let me fix it. I smiled faintly at the gentlewoman before me. Is it okay now? Chi Qingru smiled and brushed my cheek. Okay. I turned to face the staff's surprised and excited gaze. I smiled awkwardly. The staff smiled back at me. So sweet. I'm shipping them. The online rumors are all lies. Chi Qingruo's little face was slightly flushed. She sat back down. Naturally, she hooked my arm.
She said to the photographer.
"Okay, take a picture."
The staff's eyes lit up as they looked at the two in the frame. When I saw them on the trending list today,
I thought it was just filters and editing.
Now, their beauty is hitting me right in the heart. My old maiden heart.
Not long after,
2 red booklets were handed to us.
In that moment, Chi Qingru felt dazed.
Achin is my husband.
Her fingers trembled slightly as she stroked the booklet.
She turned to look at me.
Seeing that I was also staring blankly at the marriage certificate,
Chi Qingru bit her lip.
She couldn't help but wonder.
Is Achin more happy right now? Or more annoyed?
As we left the Civil Affairs Bureau,
Chi Qingru gave the staff the prepared gifts.
"You're too kind. It's our job. Congratulations on your marriage, Ms. Chi and Mr. Shi. May you be a loving couple forever." Chi Qingruo's expression softened even more.
Thank you. Back home,
Chi Qingru saw me still looking down at the marriage certificate.
What are you looking at? Achin isn't unhappy, is he?
But I looked up happily at her. "Qingru."
Chi Qingru looked at me, stunned.
I asked her eagerly.
Can I pot on Weibo?
Chi Qingru was a bit confused. "Weibo?" I waved the marriage certificate in front of her.
Can I pot this on Weibo to announce it?
When Chi Qingru said we should get married, I thought of it.
Isn't this the best solution? As long as I pot the marriage certificate first and announce it, Su Mu's problem is solved.
Chi Qingru really didn't expect me to be willing to announce it. "Sure." She sat down next to me.
I suddenly frowned again. But I don't have a phone. My phone is with Song Yi.
My Weibo Otsao has always been managed by the Tim.
Chi Qingruo's eyes curved.
Then I'll pot it. She took a few photos of the marriage certificate. She logged into her Weibo Otsao, which she had never used before. Soon, the trending list exploded.
No matter when, no matter the seasons,
we will never be apart until our hair turns white. The image attached was 2 marriage certificates.
Everyone was chatting heatedly. Chi Qingru gave the most direct answer. I looked at her Weibo pot, my eyes flickering. I suddenly thought of something and said, "Your parents don't know we're married yet, do they?" Chi Qingru chuckled softly.
"Husband."
I instantly blushed and my heart raced. Chi Qingru laughed.
"If you have time to think about that, why not think about something else?" I asked, puzzled. "Think about what?" Chi Qingru leaned closer to me.
You should think about whether we'll hang out in the living room tonight or go back to the room and rest separately.
I asked, confused.
What's the difference between those 2 options? Chi Qingru blinked.
You decide. I thought for a moment.
I naturally took her small hand. Then, Qingru, come rest with me. Chi Qingru looked at our intertwined hands. Achin, don't regret it.
I looked at her puzzled. Why would I regret it?
At night, Chi Qingru pulled up the covers.
She wrapped herself up without hesitation. I looked at her blankly. "What are you doing?"
Chi Qingru said calmly, sleeping.
"How can I sleep without covering myself?" I was even more confused.
Didn't you say you'd rest with me?
Chi Qingru reached out from under the covers. She patted the spot next to her. "Yeah, come sleep." I didn't understand the situation. "Is that it?" Chi Qingru looked into my eyes. "What else?"
Did you have other plans?
"We're already married," she said in a coquettish voice.
I know.
There was a mischievous glint in her eyes. She leaned in and gently touched me.
I didn't call you Achin. Now you're my husband. Whether Achin truly loves me or not, he's completely mine now.
I asked, uncertain.
So you're sure you want to rest quietly like this on our wedding night? Chi Qingru blinked at me. Because I think Achin still needs time to accept and prepare. I don't need Achin's impulse. We're already married, so I'm not in a hurry. I can wait slowly.
For Achin to truly fall in love with me.
How would I know what he's thinking?
I grinned mischievously. I don't need to prepare.
Then I need to slowly get used to it, Achin. Give me some time, okay? Alright, let's sleep.
Turn off the light. The room went completely dark, leaving only the 2 of us.
Shallow breathing sounds rose and fell.
I thought I would have trouble sleeping all night,
but smelling Chi Qingruo's scent, I quickly fell into a deep sleep. Chi Qingru, however, listened to my breathing, wide awake. She was afraid to wake up and find that this was all just a beautiful dream. Just then, she heard me talking in my sleep. Himeng, I don't want to. Chi Qingru froze instantly. Her burning emotions turned ice cold in a moment.
I woke up from the dream with a start. My whole body was drenched in cold sweat. My first reaction was to tremble and touch my face.
The scars weren't bumpy. My breathing slowly calmed down. In that moment, I almost thought the rebirth was just a dream. Wasn't it?
I closed my eyes and rested for a while. Only then did I open my eyes and look beside me.
Chi Qingru wasn't there. I sat up and looked at the clock. It was only 6:30. Why is she up so early?
I decided not to sleep either. I threw off the covers, got out of bed, and opened the bedroom door. I saw Chi Qingru on the balcony outside the living room.
She had her back to me. I walked over and hugged her from behind. Why are you up so early?
The person in my arms stiffened slightly. After a few seconds, she turned around.
Why don't you sleep a little longer?
The woman wrapped her arms tightly around my waist. Looking at her pale face, I asked with concern, "Did you sleep badly last night?" Chi Qingru didn't answer. She looked up and met my eyes.
Achin, did you sleep well? I shook my head, a bit frustrated.
Not really.
Chi Qingru bit her lip. Why?
I rubbed my temple.
I had a nightmare.
Chi Qingru looked at me and asked softly, "What nightmare?" I frowned deeply. I didn't know how to say it. I dreamed about that day in my past life when I got home.
Momo was already waiting for me at home.
She started arguing with me as soon as I walked in. I said that glass of wine was handed to me by him, but he said it was impossible.
Momo threw things at me.
And don't even think about it. At that thought, I held Chi Qingru's hand and instinctively tightened my grip. Chi Qingru patted my back to comfort me.
It's nothing, just a nightmare.
But Chi Qingru wasn't easily fooled. She felt my stiffness. Now she was thinking about what I said in my dream. My tone seemed to carry strong unease. But back then, she was blinded by jealousy and envy. She didn't think much of it. Chi Qingru's voice trembled as she called me Achin. Chi Qingru asked me hoarsely,
Did Himomo do something bad to you?
I didn't understand what she meant. Chi Qingru raised her hand and gently touched my face.
Did Himomo do anything to you?
Her words reminded me of my past life again. I suddenly didn't dare look at her. No, that was already a thing of a past life.
And in that life, she got her comeuppance. As for now, Himomo has no chance.
Chi Qingru's small face was full of displeasure. Afraid I'd see, she took a deep breath, suppressing her emotions. It's fine, that's good. Chi Qingru buried her head in my arms. After a while, she suddenly asked me, today there's a banquet at the Sure family. Does Achin want to go? This topic instantly shifted my attention. The celebration for 11 Bai? I don't really want to go. I don't want to see the Sure family.
They mean less to me than strangers.
Chi Qingru looked up at me. If Achin wants to go, I'll take Achin. I asked, puzzled. To do what? Chi Qingru smiled a bit arrogantly. To watch the drama, of course. I smiled brightly. Sure. Actually, I figured the Sure family had already looked for me.
But my phone wasn't with me.
And the Sure family didn't dare come to Chi Qingru's place to cause trouble, so I could stay quiet until now.
No one bothers you.
But we'd have to meet them eventually. The banquet was at noon, and it was still early.
We had breakfast.
Chi Qingru went to the study. The trending topic was all over the place. Her phone was almost blown up, but she turned it off and ignored it. When she turned it back on, she called her parents, who were traveling the world, and replied to a few friends. I went back to bed for a nap. When I woke up, I changed into the clothes Chi Qingru had someone deliver the custom suit. I let the stylist waiting nearby do my hair. Chi Qingru sat aside with her phone, typing away. I didn't know what she was doing. After finishing up, I stood up and asked, Qingru, isn't your husband handsome? Chi Qingru heard me and looked up. She put her phone away, stood up and came over to me,
smiled and nodded.
Super handsome. Then she went to change into a matching custom evening gown, makeup and styling done. I stared at her with burning eyes. I couldn't help but lean in
and gently kissed her cheek.
My Qingru is so beautiful. We stood together. Chi Qingru suddenly felt a bit regretful.
What if I don't want such a handsome Achin to be seen by Himomo? No. I'll take Achin out to show him off. Others will be so jealous. Achin is my husband. The stylists nearby squealed like groundhogs.
So sweet, so perfect together. Qingru's eyes curved even more happily. She looked up at me. Achin, hear that?
Everyone thinks we're the best met.
I raised my hand and gently ruffled her hair, with a tenderness and doting I've never shown anyone.
Only for you.
I took her hand firmly. At that moment, I suddenly broke free from all my past restraints. Before, I always held back and hid my abilities. I didn't want to show off, used to keeping a low profile, avoiding the spotlight. But now, I just wanted to be flashy. I wanted to be with my girl, and proclaim this lop to the world. Qingru's cheeks flushed from my straightforward affection.
Then let's go out now. I want everyone to see that my husband is the best.
I nodded and let her lead me out of the living room. Just as we stepped out the door, we ran into Himomo hiding around the corner of the hallway,
sneaking a peek.
She was in an exquisite dress, with deliberately heavy makeup,
but her eyes were glued to me,
full of resentment and obsession. Before, she had schemed everywhere, secretly stirring up trouble between Qingru and me, spreading rumors, maliciously slandering Qingru, and even secretly setting traps,
trying to drive us apart,
hoping to squeeze her way in beside me, and take everything that belonged to Qingru.
How dare she still show up in front of us?
Seeing Qingru and me holding hands tightly,
with gentle eyes,
Himomo's face instantly turned pale, the last bit of hope in her eyes shattered, replaced by intense jealousy and resentment. She stepped forward. Brother Achin,
are you really going to be with her?
What do I lack compared to her?
I've done so much for you. Why have you never seen me?
Before I could speak, Achin is my husband. His heart has always only had me. All your scheming and obsession
were wrong from the start.
I pulled Qingru back into my arms. My eyes instantly lost their tenderness and turned bone-chillingly cold.
What you did wasn't giving.
It was evil. I looked at Himomo and said each word clearly, spreading rumors about Qingru, secretly plotting against her, stirring up trouble between us, even bribing others to slander our relationship.
I know every single thing you did. I didn't pursue it before,
because I didn't want Qingru to be tainted by filth. But that doesn't mean I condone your malice. Himomo's face turned completely ashen. She tried to argue, but was interrupted by staff who arrived. The people she had bribed to spread rumors all confessed voluntarily.
All the truth was ironclad.
All her schemes were completely exposed. The persona she had carefully built collapsed. Her reputation was ruined. The connections she relied on all scattered. For her selfish fabrications and malicious schemes, she paid a heavy price,
ending up abandoned and unlamented.
I looked down at Qingru in my arms. All right, the trouble's solved. No one can bother us anymore.
Qingru looked up at me.
Achin, there won't be any more of these awful things from now on, right? Her eyes sparkled. I answered solemnly. Right, from now on, only peace and happiness remain. A few days later, our wedding arrived as planned. The wedding venue was a sea of flowers. Warm sunlight filled the entire space.
Gentle and grand.
All those who had been kind to us and sincerely wished us well were present. Friends who had silently supported and helped us.
Kind elders who had witnessed our journey and strangers we had helped, who were grateful. Everyone's face held genuine smiles, their eyes full of blessings. I stood in a sharp suit, at the end of the flower path, eyes burning, quietly waiting for my bride, when Qingru, in her white wedding dress, walked slowly toward me. My world was completely filled with tenderness. Everything else was just a backdrop. Only she was the sole light. She walked step by step toward me, her eyes holding starlight and full of love. I stepped forward and took her hand. My voice was gentle but firm. Before, I weathered storms alone, saw the world's dangers and tasted its coldness. I thought the rest of my life would be plain and lonely. Until I met you. You taught me gentleness, made me have someone to care for, made me understand what devotion and fulfillment mean. Today, I take you as my wife for every year, every day, every moment to come. I will protect you and cherish you for a lifetime. Never leave, never betray, Qingru. Her eyes reddened. For the rest of my life, I'll only be with Achin. Year after year, side by side. The audience erupted in applause. Blessings rose and fell, warm and passionate. I raised my hand and put the ring on Qingru and held my bride tightly. The warm sun brushed our faces, flowers bloomed. The whole place was filled with blessings. All the beauty in the world came rushing in. The storms cleared, everything went smoothly. Qingru and I will be together for life, year after year, peaceful and complete.